Dad was bleeding and telling me he loved me before dying in the crash, and now I'm lost without him. I'm 15 years old and my dad died last night. We were driving on the highway and someone swerved or something and hit us. I don't remember much of it. One moment I saw a car coming towards us, the next thing I knew I saw trees, flashing lights reflecting on glass, people were talking to me but I could barely hear them. I looked over and I saw my dad cut up, bleeding. A tree branch had come through the window and stabbed him. He wasn't dead then, but I think he knew. He told me he loved me. I was screaming when they took me out of the car, away from him. I'm in the hospital. I couldn't sleep last night at all. My aunt came in and told me he was dead this morning. She apparently is taking custody of me, but the social worker says they have to confirm things before she can take me. I don't really know what's happening. I'm hurting and all I want is my dad, but I know he's not here anymore. Apparently my big brother was told and is flying home today. I don't know what to do. I don't feel like it's real. I keep feeling nothing and then so much I want to scream. Why didn't I die there too? Why did he have to? And everything hurts so much physically too with my injuries. I had to talk to the police this morning. I overheard the nurse telling my aunt that they'd been able to keep them away because of my injuries last night, but because my dad died things were more serious now and I had to talk to them. I'm so tired, I don't know what's happening to do. I wish my dad were here. I want this to be some cruel joke so he can come out and hug me while I act mad at him. Update 1. Hello again, I hope you guys that celebrate had a Merry Christmas yesterday and that the first night of Hanukkah treated everyone well. I have gotten a lot of PMs from people worried about me and wishing me well, and I wanted to thank everyone and give you an update. I haven't responded to many people, but I appreciate all of your kindness regardless. So the day I posted last, I was transferred to a children's hospital because after they did a more in-depth scan they said I had more damage than they'd first seen and really high risk of paralysis if I moved wrong. They didn't feel comfortable doing the surgery so I was sent to a well-known children's hospital. They basically immobilized me for a few hours before I could actually have the surgery on my lower thoracic and upper lumbar spine. I also had to be heavily sedated because I had a panic attack when they put me in the ambulance. That was really embarrassing cause I really thought I could handle it. The doctors said they found more damage than they'd originally seen when they went in for the surgery so now I have a bone graft and some metal in my spine. Everything still hurts but I'm honestly pretty drugged up on pain meds, so I'm grateful for that. I'm also not allowed to walk or anything yet, but I met an OT and a PT and they've been in a couple times. Yesterday was pretty slow though because lots of people were off for Christmas. There was a really cool Christmas parade that I could see from my hospital window 2 nights ago that made me really happy. My brother hasn't left the hospital since he came a few days ago. He keeps telling me that he won't leave till I leave. It's probably because I'm so clingy with him right now. It's not rational but I keep thinking that if he leaves and drives anywhere that I'll never see him again. The rest of my family all came to visit yesterday. They got approval from the hospital staff to bring in Christmas dinner for me to eat, so we did dinner and gifts in my hospital room instead of at my grandparents' house like normal. I was exhausted and a little grumpy, but it was so nice. I also got my aunt to wrap the gifts I'd gotten from my younger cousins and my brother because I hadn't wrapped them yet. I cried like a baby when I opened some of Christmas gifts my dad had already gotten me. I left some of them wrapped because I just can't open them yet, they're the last gifts he'll ever get me. I also wish so badly I'd given my dad his gifts early because now he'll never open them. The vibes were weird, everyone was trying to hold it together, but all of us had moments where we talked about my dad and it would get quiet and sad. My grandparents brought one of my dad's work jackets from home for both me and my big brother and we've both been wearing them nonstop. I feel really bad because I realize my brother lost dad too, but I don't want to let go of him right now. I had a panic attack when I tried to let him go home to get clothes and stuff by having my aunt stay with me. My aunt called him a few minutes into his drive home though, telling him that I was panicking and they couldn't calm me down and he rushed back immediately. I feel like the worst little sister ever. My brother keeps arguing with my aunt and my grandparents. They aren't arguing in front of me, but it's pretty obvious. He wants custody of me because he wants us to stay together and they either don't want him to or don't think he can handle it. He's 23 and he normally lives across the country. I told him I didn't want to move out there and he said he'd already asked his boss about transferring to remote work with an eventual transfer to one of their offices here. Right now he's not working though. We haven't talked about home. I don't think either of us want to think about what's going to happen to it. Either we stay and live with his ghost or we leave and never see our home again and I don't know which would be better or worse. I'm scheduled to talk to a psychiatrist today. But yeah, I just wanted to give an update for all of you who were worried about me. My concussion is still bad, my ribs are still broken, and the cast on my arm is annoying. I keep seeing my dad all bloody and hurt when I close my eyes. I either feel so much it's overwhelming or nothing at all and it's weird. I keep trying to convince myself that my dad's jacket is like a hug from him. Overall I'm a mess and I will be for a while. Hopefully things get better though. Update 2. I hope that the new year is being kind to all of you. I have gotten a lot of PMs from people worried about me and wishing me well, and I wanted to thank everyone and give you an update. I haven't responded to many people, but I appreciate all of your kindness regardless. Also, this is gonna be long so I'm sorry in advance. So the day I posted last I was transferred to a children's hospital because after they did some scan and they said I had more damage than they'd first seen and high risk of paralysis if I moved wrong. They didn't feel comfortable doing the surgery, so I was sent to a children's hospital. I also had to be heavily sedated because I've learned that I now have an unfortunate fear of being in a car of any kind. I had a panic attack when they put me in the ambulance skeptical, and then another one when I was discharged from the hospital and had to get in the car to go home. It's embarrassing, honestly. Anyway, now I have a bone graft and some metal in my spine. They called it a cage, which sounds super weird. I'm in OT and PT right now. I also was assigned a therapist and a social worker. According to my therapist, I have a lot of stuff going on. Survivor's guilt, grief in general, and separation anxiety because every time my brother leaves I panic really bad. It's gotten a little better, I think, because at first I freaked out whenever I couldn't see him. I've been trying to be better with it because I know my big brother is hurting bad too from losing our dad. I'm sure he needs time by himself. It's not rational, but I keep thinking that if he leaves and drives anywhere that I'll never see him again. Christmas in the hospital wasn't bad, honestly. I was pretty out of it because of the pain meds. But my aunt, uncles, and grandparents came and we did Christmas dinner there instead of at home. I only opened one of the gifts my dad had wrapped for me. They're the last things he'll ever give me, so I almost don't want to touch them. My brother got approval from the social worker to keep me for the time being, but he keeps having arguments with my aunt and my grandparents about it. They aren't arguing in front of me, but it's pretty obvious. He wants to keep custody of me because he wants us to stay together, and they either don't want him to or don't think he can handle it. He's 23 and he normally lives across the country. I told him I didn't want to move out there, and he said he'd already asked his boss about transferring to remote work with an eventual transfer to one of their offices here. Right now he's not working though. We're home. I was in the hospital for a little over a week. It's weird to be here. I keep thinking my dad is going to come home from work. I've been wearing one of his old work jackets all the time. My brother and I slept in Dad's bed our first night home. There have been lots of tears from everyone. My grandparents really wanted to organize Dad's funeral. I was able to go, thankfully. I've been having bad nightmares, but my therapist says that's not unexpected. School was supposed to start back up today, but it was a snow day. I'm also not going back in person yet. Because of my car anxiety, my therapist recommended I do at-home tutoring for right now. My doctors advised it too because I still don't have great mobility yet. Overall, I'm a mess and I will be for a while. Hopefully things get better though. Update 3. First though, for those of you who have asked me, I wanted to say that no, there is no GoFundMe. My family doesn't want any of your money, and while I know everything is going to be really expensive, I've talked a little bit to my family and they all believe it's going to be fine. Also, I posted on here cause I was overwhelmed and sad and scared. Still am, honestly, not because I wanted anyone's money. Now with that, I'll give you guys a little update. I am doing school. It's honestly kinda nice. It makes me feel like a person again. I am doing it at home though, with like tutors who are scheduled to come by once a week for each of my different classes. I'm kinda surprised it's not an online thing tbh, but I like seeing my teachers again. They've all been really nice, even if they are kinda treating me like glass. My brother and I have mostly left my dad's room untouched, with the exception of the 2 jackets we each have from his closet, and when we sometimes just go and lay on his bed. I'm currently in his bed RN actually. My occupational therapist and physical therapist both are really happy with the progress I've made so far, but I'm still gonna be seeing them for a while, I think. My OT has been asking about my hobbies to try and see if we can work them into my sessions, and I told her I wanted to try painting. My dad used to paint really gorgeous landscapes with his watercolors, so I wanted to try it. When I told my older brother about it, he said that I should use one of my dad's old watercolor sets. I picked one of the ones that he didn't use very often because it felt bad to use his go-to set. While I haven't been able to do much painting in OT, I have been painting on my own, and it makes me feel so connected to my dad. I like to think he would have liked my paintings even if they aren't amazing. My psychologist lady actually has assigned me what she calls homework about painting my feelings, but I don't entirely know what that means. Other than that, therapy, the mental kind, has been going okay too. I'd cow, but my therapist has time to see me 3 days a week. The goal is to not see her that often, obviously, but I definitely need it. She prescribed me anxiety medication, a daily one and then an as needed one. We went through a couple pills already cause the first 2 made me a lot more anxious. Therapist lady said it happens to some people. The as needed one that I'm on now makes me super tired, so I don't like taking it, but it's helpful when I have to be driven places RN because I still panic with cars. My therapist wants me to do exposure therapy, which is understandable, but it sucks really bad. We're starting with like a computer simulation thing. The more upsetting thing for me, aka why I'm writing this as a distraction, my brother is currently on the other side of the country. His flight left this morning and he's coming back tomorrow night, but oh my god, I'm panicking so bad. I'm trying really hard not to take my anxiety pill because I took one earlier and basically slept through most of the day, but it's so bad. It's necessary, like he needs to organize moving his stuff and like do something about his apartment cause he's moving back home so he can be my guardian and take care of me, but I'm so scared he won't ever come back. Like, what if his flight crashes? Or if he's in a car accident and dies like my dad? What if he just decides to abandon me? My brain just won't shut up and it's so scary. Maybe I should just take another pill and sleep till he comes home. Both of my grandparents and my aunt are home with me, but it's not him. Trying to think of any other updates, my brother managed to get a full-time online position here with his current work until he can get another job. My family has chilled out a little bit, probably after seeing how badly I panicked without my brother, and are currently working together to make sure my brother can keep me instead of arguing. Evidently social work stuff takes a while. Now on to second story. Laughed at my sister's choice of spelling her baby's name as Rayfarty, got uninvited to the baby shower, and lost my godmother role. My sister is due after in early January and we're planning her baby shower for early December. She decided she wanted to use my mother's maiden name, Rafferty, as her daughter's name. Not a tragedy itself, and I guess it works as a unique name. But yesterday I texted my sister that I needed to get the custom items with my niece's name ordered ASAP so they arrive in time for the shower. My sister then let me know they're going with an alternative spelling of Rafferty. I texted back, an alternative spelling of our mother's maiden name? My sister wants to spell it Rayfarty. So I sent back a bunch of laughing emojis and she asked what's so funny? I tried to explain that no one will pronounce that as Rafferty and she'll probably get plenty of the same mispronunciations. She told me I was being ridiculous. I texted back, my poor niece, little Miss Farty Ray. I was uninvited to the shower and my mom told me today my sister doesn't want me as the godmother anymore. But, like, Rayfarty is really bad, isn't it? Someone needs to tell her, right? Update 1. So we had an intervention on Rayfarty. I know everyone said to send a link to the original post to my sister to show her that 103% of the global population would call her daughter Rayfarty and that would be the easiest thing to do, but some commenters said some pretty gnarly things about my sister that she doesn't need to read and feel worse about herself. But I wanted to address a few things that came up. First, for those saying I shouldn't bother paying for the baby shower anymore, I had no plans to not continue to pay and help out. Disagreements and fighting aside, I love my sister and want her to go into motherhood filled with love and support, regardless of whether she wants my support or attendance at the event. Second, my sister's husband was made aware of the spelling change of Rafferty to Rayfarty about a month before my original post. He said he didn't think much of it until he saw it written down and immediately saw it as Rayfarty, too. He said her emotions had been getting worse throughout the pregnancy and he didn't know how to approach her about going back to the original spelling. He had hoped that once she gave birth, all the hormones would somehow leave her body, she'd come to her senses, and it would be a non-issue. Third, a lot of you were lumping my mom in with my sister and said some pretty horrible things about her, too. All my mom knew was from my sister calling her to complain that I laughed at her for slightly changing the spelling. My mom just assumed it was a minor change like Rafferty until I told her to grab a pen and paper and I'd spell it out for her. Once she saw it was Rayfarty, she was team save this child. The rest of the saga is in the comments. The rest. Now for those of you who told me I didn't have any tact and my reaction was mean, my reaction was because 1. People would call the poor girl Rayfarty her entire life for the sake of my sister being quirky. 2. Pregnancy brain aside, surely my sister would realize her child will be called Rayfarty once it's pointed out, have a laugh, change her mind, and this will end up being a funny story to tell at her daughter's future wedding or something. And 3. My sister is a bit of a joker, so I also initially thought she was just pulling a prank or joking. But if she was joking, she took the joke really, really far. She spent $400 on a mural painted on one wall in the nursery. She wanted to debut the finished nursery to everyone at the baby shower, including her husband, who was forbidden to see it beforehand, that had Rayfarty incorporated into it that now needs to be repainted. She also bought herself a birthing gift. Is this even a thing? She'd have my brother-in-law present too. Her in front of everyone at the hospital, a $900 plus gold bracelet with R, A, E, F, A, R, T, and white charms. The baby book also has Rayfarty embroidered on the cover. I contacted my sister's best friend Katie, not her real name, if my sister has told her anything about the spelling change. She found out about Rayfarty after the blow up with my sister, as my sister wanted to get Katie on her side. Katie, who's a teacher, was equally horrified about the spelling and told me this is the worst attempt at a creative name she's ever seen. The intervention of sorts, the farty party, if you will, included me, my sister, her husband, his mother and father, my mother, and Katie. My sister refused to believe anyone could possibly see Rayfarty as Rayfarty and that we were just mad that she was taking creative license and that everyone does that nowadays. My sister said children are not that cruel to bully her daughter for her name, and Katie said plenty of kids are cruel enough and the others would join in so they're not singled out themselves. My sister countered that as long as all the adults are pronouncing it correctly that it'll be no problem, and Katie told her that not only would the adults not know how to pronounce it to begin with, but that as long as fart is in the name, kids will latch right onto that. I was happy Katie was there because she shared interesting names her students have had over the past few years, so I knew her opinion on this would probably be the only one to sway her. My sister cried for about 10 minutes and finally agreed to entirely change the name because even Rafferty was tainted because we had all ruined it for her. We told her to take her time to consider a new name. She told us she still wanted to honor my mother, and she suggested she'd combine my mother's first name with her mother-in-law's name and created a name on the spot that included a crass term for a lesbian. When my mother pointed that out, she started crying again and accused us of not letting her be a mom, and her husband suggested we leave it for now and we should all go and give her space. It's been radio silence until my sister texted me a couple of hours ago that she and her husband landed on Theodora and she is absolutely in love with it. She even decided my unborn niece looks like a Theodora in the ultrasounds. She got those creepy 3D ones done where every baby looks like the same copper potato. I replied that was lovely and that I'm so happy she's happy. It's not my taste, but at least it's not Theodoru or some crap like that. So there you go, my niece has been saved from being called Ray Farty. I'm invited to the baby shower again and I know this is just a little blip with my relationship to my sister and we'll be fine, but Katie will be taking over as godmother, which is fine by me. I can always be godmother to their next child, who will probably be named something like Taramshu. Thank you all for seeing the same thing I did and letting me know stopping Ray Farty from coming into existence was the right thing to do. Update 2. I don't know if you remember my post from a few weeks back about my sister wanting to name my niece Ray Farty, pronounced Rafferty and not at all like Ray Farty. My niece has been born 2 weeks earlier than expected, but she is healthy and home now. When my sister first held her, she said, "She's so adorable," and got an idea. She wanted to change from Theodora to Theodorable. Thankfully my Bill put his foot down. He did give her carte blanche on the middle name. When it was supposed to be Rafferty, they went with Rose to counterbalance Rafferty being different. Now that Theodora was the normal name, and because my sister just cannot not be extra, she chose Jazinville. Theodora Jazinville. A Ray Farty Rose by any other name would smell as sweet. We are not from Florida. Bill is not from Florida. I don't think my sister's ever been to Florida, much less to Jacksonville. I asked her how she came up with it and she said she always liked geographical names, which is news to me because I specifically remember a conversation about names months ago and she said she hated when parents name their kids place names like Camden or Brooklyn because they're trying way too hard. But you do you, Ray Farty's mom. Also, our city has a pretty sizable Polish American population and people will certainly try to pronounce it like it's a Polish last name, but at least the craziness is confined to the middle name. And there's no gas or slurs involved. At least it's a middle name.